Welcome to KAZI.
If I got a big deal,
the fans view.
We all got our
we're
stuff
on now, and it's Friday, gentlemen, the 27th of October. We are here. How you guys doing today?
Good morning, man. Good morning. Good to see you again. Sorry I was out for a couple weeks. I'm refreshed. I'm golfed out.
What did you shoot?
You're not allowed to admit that as a golfer.
What did you shoot? I didn't know what you shot.
You don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear it.
Did you lose any money?
It's better than me, I promise you.
I didn't make any money. No,
make any money?
I didn't make any money.
Man.
Oh, wait a minute. There's levels to this. Like when you golf, there's a goal to make money.
I made a little. We made a little side money. We made a little side money, but I didn't make anything in the tournament. No.
Gotcha.
Man, I'm doing it wrong then.
Yeah.
No, I'm doing it wrong.
I'm golfing with the wrong people in the wrong places at the wrong time. Clearly, okay, I was this many years old when I learned I could be making some money out there golfing. I've been doing it the wrong way. I've been paying money to golf. I pay more money when the little golf cart comes around with the snacks. It sounds like I could be getting that stuff paid for me, man.
You just gotta play with the right people.
I see that.
Sometimes I'm the wrong person.
At least ain't none of y'all golfing for high scores, because that's what I'm out here doing.
Oh yeah, you doing it wrong.
Yeah, I'm atrocious at golf. Atrocious. But I'll throw you somewhere though.
Yeah,
Don't get it twisted.
He's better at fighting.
That's right.
Than fighting on the links. For those who don't know, we do have in the building. We have Travis Kent. We have Corey Mose from K-View. You can tell I'm an out-of-towner. Someone had to say to me to stop saying KVUE and just say K-View because the locals know.
That's right.
And so
Somebody corrected you?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But it's okay though. You know, back where I'm from,
Yeah.
we say WWBT. You know,
Yeah.
we say it like that. But it's differences in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like back on the East Coast, we say, "Oh, I'm at exit 102, 103." But when I lived in Los Angeles, I realized, and they had to correct me there. They say, "Oh no, you get off on Sepulveda Street, like that on that exit." That's how they do it. So, you know, hey, if I call myself a chameleon, I'm gonna have to adjust. So Corey Mose from K-View,
I appreciate it.
Make sure I get that. And then that other voice, the gentleman who said that he'll throw you, that's a person we've had on before. So we have Coach Jason Norwood, wrestling coach out at Georgetown High School. How are you doing, Coach?
What's up? Doing good. Good to be here.
So I want to go back to this one thing because we kind of went over it so fast last time. Travis, you said you've got some history with Georgetown, and I just want to wrap that back in again.
Yeah. So back in, let's see, was it nine years ago? Yeah. This year, Georgetown football team made their way to the state championship game.
Yep.
That season, I served as the play-by-play, the color commentator for Georgetown football, their internet broadcast. And then the season before that, and the season after that, I did Georgetown baseball color commentary, and lived in Georgetown for 7-8 years back then. So yeah, I've got a. Yeah. My daughter went to Georgetown for about a semester last year, while she was she wanted to get in an FFA program, and so we got her transferred into Georgetown.
Yeah,
and then
good FFA program, man.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
It's a very good, very good. They got a lot of support too, and that the Williamson County Fair and Rodeo is one of their biggest shows. Of course, they also send a lot of kids to the Houston Livestock Show. And unfortunately, we went to Houston, didn't make the sale. So
I sit on the bond board, and the bond just bonded out to get another area for FFA to get more stables and stuff like that. We really support that.
It is a huge program. It's one of the biggest programs in the area.
Wow.
So
you guys are dropping stuff. I didn't know that was the end goal, is to get a sale. This is all new to me. I always thought on the outside, I'm a city boy, but I thought Future Farmers of America, I thought it was totally different. And I did not know that there was that business aspect, and now I'm kind of intrigued on how cool it would be to be able to try to. So you're proposing, you're making a proposal to sell sheep, or
you are raising, you buy, raise, track your spending for, show, and try to make a sale. Try to make the auction.
Yeah,
you want to make the auction. You're going to sell it.
Yeah.
But whether you make the auction or not, based upon the judging of your animal, if you make the auction, then and the better you fare in the final round of judging, is how much better you're going to get auction results for. And so you're making that money, and then those kids can put that money back into their projects for the next year, or things that they want to do, or go to college with it, things like that. If you don't, I mean, look, the fact of it is, this is raising future farmers and ranchers, right? And so if you don't make the sale, that animal does get purchased for slaughter, and you do get proceeds off of that as well. This is a real, Future Farmers of America is a real life teaching mechanism for those that want to be farmers or ranchers in our next generation. So,
the biggest thing with me with all that is like not getting too attached to the animal.
They're very, very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine, because you're putting so much time and effort, and then
before school, after school, these kids are there a lot. They're a lot, because I wake up in the morning with my wrestling practice, and I see them there already sometimes, and we're getting there early, so before school. So yeah, it's a lot. But Georgetown does a lot. Like, I have one of my kids that I used to coach jiu-jitsu to is welding me a barbecue pit.
Yes.
You know, so we have a welding program that actually does, you know, and it's going to cost me probably $1,000 in material, but that's his final project. You know, so I'm gonna purchase it from him, so I'm gonna give him more than that money. You know, I got my oil changed by our auto tech people, and you make a donation to them, so it's
that's cool.
Yeah, they're doing big things.
So
trying to.
Coach, we brought you in. One of the things you're going to talk about today is we're going to talk. Travis actually mentioned it last time about having you back on to talk a little bit of Central Texas high school wrestling. Yeah. And there's a lot we can cover. We're going to do 5A, but when I looked at the preseason 5A rankings, your school, Georgetown, is ranked number 7. Now, Travis, I'm going to say when you were there, and it sounds like we're going to come back to that another day, because it sounds like you're the good luck charm for their football team. I don't know why they don't bring you to like midfield every game. Everyone rubs your hair. Your hair is always great, but let's mess it up. That's a good luck charm. But do you remember them even having this kind of a ranking going into the season?
You know,
7
for the wrestling program, I don't remember much about the how long has the wrestling program been at Georgetown?
So they started wrestling in 2012.
Okay,
started wrestling in 2012.
Okay,
so it's been a little more than 10 years.
So it would have been when that season that Georgetown made the run on the football field to the state championships. That would have been a brand new program at the time, and so but the programs at Georgetown is obviously those of you that don't stray north of the Pflugerville Round Rock area, Georgetown's obviously been is an older community, a county seat of Williamson County, and prides themselves very much on trying to stay local. We're so used to living in Round Rock, yet your kid plays soccer in Cedar Park, and then they also play they maybe play baseball for a North Austin Little League team, and we're all metropolitan, right, which is great, but Georgetown really prides themselves on feeding their own youth sports, and those feeding into their middle school programs and up into high school, and are still pretty much still self-contained. There's just that little bit of gap between Round Rock and Georgetown, which gives them that little buffer.
Yeah, and the problem for wrestling is we don't have a middle school program.
Yeah.
So like outside of my club, there's no place to compete in Georgetown if you are under high school age.
So are kids coming to you just fresh, not knowing anything?
I have a lot of fresh kids. Luckily, I have a club, so I have a couple kids that I've already seen for a couple of years. And truth be told, over the next 4 years, now my eldest daughter is a freshman, so over the next 4 years, we'll be putting in kids that I've been working with for 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm really, really excited about that. I'm excited about the kids I have been working with for 4 years too. But it'll be interesting to see, what we can do with those kids who have been wrestling for a minute, who already have, at the age of 11, wrestled a kid who I know, all right, that kid's gonna be in states. You know what I mean? Like, and so you already wrestled him, and I had one of my guys who I actually just beat a kid who I was looking at him like, oh man, that guy's gonna be in states. You know what I mean? And so when Logan went out and beat that kid, I was like, oh, okay, all right. Was that Tell Me? Can't wait to have Logan on the team. Yeah, here we go.
I don't know if anyone else is afraid, but if I'm wrestling a kid and his name is Logan, he already sounds like a bad boy. Like, after what we went through with Marvel, it sounds I gotta deal with this guy named Logan. Okay, so Coach, so congratulations. It sounds like you guys have never been ranked number 7 going into the preseason, especially being so new. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about so when I look at the 126 pounders, number 2 ranked in 5A is Alexander Guillen. Am I saying that right?
Alexander Gwynn. Gwynn is now, he'd be 138. And so the great thing about the rankings are they give you something to strive for. But the problem is kids in high school grow. So you have some kids who come back at their weight. You know what I mean? We're going to talk about talent ball in a minute, right? Okay. And so he's not coming back at 126. You know, he's 138. So it looks, you have to look at the rankings and be like, okay, well who's 138? Who's 138 last year might come back at 138 this year. Yeah. Right? Who's not? And then when you take in also considering kids who are graduated, that messes things up a lot. I mean, obviously the kid's gonna place. At 138, he'll place too. Sure. Just the question is where. That's really the question.
And then when I look at some of the others that are on that list, there's only one above him. That was a kid at Dumas. Below him is Frisco Centennial, PSGA Memorial, Frisco Heritage, Pittsburgh. There's nothing in our vicinity that I'm aware of, and I am not a true Texan. But it sounds like you guys are just made a splash at Georgetown, especially with this kid. I'm going to mention a few others. Yeah. So you guys are making a name for us here locally.
Well, I mean, let's say I'm not the one who brags a lot.
Sure.
But I'm going to take opportunity. So last year, we were walking into the season ranked in the top 20, maybe. There's some people that have ranked as low as 35. And then we ended the season ranked 11th. Oh. So, you know, and there was a difference in coaching. Yeah. So I'm going to, and don't get me wrong, I don't do the work. You know what I mean? So it's not like I can get on the mat and wrestle the matches for the kids. The kids do the work. So let me not take that away from them at all. But, it's a different focus, different recharge in what it is that we're trying to do and how we're going to try and make wrestlers. And so this year, to have us ranked a little bit better says great things. But at the end of the day, it's how we pan out. We have inside of our region, we have Melissa, who's ranked either 1 or 2. In the state of 5A right now. We're actually ranked ahead of Lucas Lovejoy, which is interesting. But we have other teams that are in at least our region that could cause us some problems. But when it comes to district, I'm looking at trying to win the district. I think we should be able to pull that off. Yeah. We should do pretty well in the region. So you
mentioned Melissa, Lucas Lovejoy, 2 bedroom communities outside the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Yes.
Right next to each other. By the way, if you haven't gone out on the internet and looked at Melissa's high school football complex.
That's the one?
Yes.
That one. You know what, Travis? You're amazing. Because I was about to ask you, do you know where Melissa, because they're the number 1 school in the preseason rankings? Yeah. You're spot on. Of course you know this stuff.
So it leads into my question of where Douglas mentioned a wrestler from Dumas. Where is there a hotbed of wrestling in Texas right now? What are the top areas that young wrestlers are coming out of?
6A is Allen, point blank, hands down. Without a question. Okay. Without a question, Allen's putting 4 and 5 guys in the state finals every year. Like don't get me wrong, there are schools that get close to it. Yeah. You know what I mean? But nobody. And here's the great part about it. Like we're going to talk about girls wrestling a little bit.
Yes.
They have a phenomenal girls team too. And so that's it for right now. Of course, Allen also graduated. Your boy, he's in the UFC right now. Melissa, for example, just got rid of Ferrari. He just graduated. His brother is wrestling in Iowa. His brother got kicked out of Oklahoma. That's some things we said about him. Anyway, but the point being, right? So he comes from a wrestling. He comes from wrestling dynasty. Now here's what pisses me off. I'm from New Jersey, right? The Ferraris are from New Jersey.
Wait a minute. So wait.
Yes.
Let's go back. I'm sorry, Coach. We had Logan. You mean I may have to step on a mat and across that person's name is Ferrari?
Yes, his name is Ferrari.
I don't want. They're too fat. I'm already, man.
Yes, yeah, and they're from Jersey, and I'm like, see, y'all moved down here so you could just splash stuff up. Y'all are getting on my nerves, but yeah. So, but he just graduated, so there are guys who have powerhouse teams at the 5A level, and there's standouts for sure. The thing about wrestling is because of the way the sport runs, you can have a standout and that pull you up the rankings just 2 or 3. I mean, I only have 3, but in a weight class of 14, they're going to pull you through districts, they're going to pull you through regions, they're going to pull you through state competition. So yeah, it's just the way it works. You can have a solid team that doesn't have any standouts, but if you can't get to states, you can't put any points on the board, right? So you may do really well at the district level, and then by the time you get to regions, your whole team is gone, and so you're not going to states. So,
Coach, the fastest growing high school sport in the nation, girls wrestling. In Minnesota alone, last year it wasn't even a sport. Now they have 541 wrestlers as of May.
Yeah, well, 2008 is when it became a sport in Texas, so that's why, that's why girls wrestling is so big. It's kind of is different. We're getting incredible, phenomenal athletes, and to be frank with you, my job is to turn some of them that were I'm a softball player first, or I'm a whatever. I'm taking them. I'm stealing them, and I tell coaches don't get it twisted. I tell the coaches I want to let you know I'm trying to steal it from you. I tell them flat out that's what I'm trying to do.
Coach, if you weren't a cage fighter, you wouldn't say that to their face.
I don't know. I mean, ain't nobody out here beating me, so I'm not concerned.
I know.
You know what I mean?
It's a little intimidating.
It's not like I walk down the hall scared. So I mean, but yeah, I'm telling them flat out I'm stealing them from you, and it is what it is. But if you have, particularly when you're a girl, and I'm not a girl, so I can't say this from experience, but I think talking to my daughters and talking to other girls that I coach is something about going out there and being tough and it being okay. You know what I mean? You can be belligerent and thank you.
It's praise.
Yes, you're aggressive, awesome, and nobody's holding them back from that. You know what I mean? There is no, well, that's not ladylike. No, it's sportsmanlike. This is a hurt you kind of sport. I'm sorry.
Is there a certain sport? We talk about this all the time in high school, especially with high school football coaches. They want their athletes to be in different sports so they can gain track, right? Conditioning.
Yeah.
Is there another sport that kind of correlates with wrestling, in your opinion, the best for one of your athletes?
For girls or for boys?
Either.
So for boys, it's obviously football. If you're on the defensive side of the ball and you ain't wrestling, something is wrong with you. All right, you're messing up.
Okay.
Period. Point blank. Because a form tackle is a double leg. That's it. So if you can execute a double leg properly, you can tackle anybody. I mean, shoot, even Ray Lewis at his linebacker camp, he used to make the guys do pummeling drills. So you can work your shoulder, you can work pass bys, those kinds of things. All of that applies, right? Not to mention, if you're talking about conditioning, I'm going to destroy, and I love getting the football players. I'll get the football players in mid-November, and they all think they in shape. They just went through playoffs, and I tell them when they walk on the mat, I'm going to get you more tired in an hour here than you've ever been in your life. And most of them scoff at me. The ones who are coming back, they don't. But they're literally like, whatever, coach. 30 minutes in, where's the water?
Yeah.
Where's the water?
Yeah, the average football play lasts 4.5, 5 seconds.
Yep.
And then the average time between plays is 22 to 28, 30 seconds. You don't get that time off in wrestling.
Nope. It's 2 minutes of somebody trying to beat your butt. That's it. It's 2 straight minutes.
Yeah.
No breaks. Period. That's it. You can't be like, I need some water. No, none of that. And then when you get the period off, people are like, it's a break. No, it's not. I'm just trying to figure out what we're going to do next.
Yeah.
It's just enough time for me to figure out what the next position is. That's it. So, yeah, and it's funny, too, because I'll get them in between the periods. They're like, can I get water? No. No. It's 6 minutes. Get your butt back out there.
So what about your girl athletes?
Girl athletes, honestly, for high school sports, it seems to be softball that I'm getting a lot of.
Yeah.
it's probably the least delicate of the high school sports for females.
Yeah.
Field hockey would be another one. We just don't have a really big field hockey program. So, and then I have a new girl. I'm mentioning her as an individual. She plays rugby outside of school.
Ooh.
So if you play rugby, well, then,
yeah.
you're right.
Yeah, you about that action.
Yeah, you about that business. So you're right on my alley.
Coach, there were 2 other athletes that you had ranked because you had 3.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So you had Harl.
Talonball is he's ranked at 144. I don't know why he's ranked second. I think he should be ranked first. So he placed third last year, but he should have placed second. He was on the wrong side of the bracket. So the guy who beat him and put him into the third place match is the guy who won the tournament. And he won the tournament. He beat the guy for second place by more than he beat Talon. So Talon should have been second in the state. Yeah. He was just on the wrong side of the bracket.
And is that kid gone?
That kid is gone.
Oh, wait.
So Talon should be number 1 in the state at 44. There's a sophomore put ahead of him. We'll see what happens with that. Because that kid placed second last year. He placed second, but he didn't. They lost to the same dude.
Yeah.
So Talon should win states at 44, no doubt. And then my other guy is Isaac Zapata.
Yes, sir.
But Isaac Zapata is ranked at 190. Now, I'm not trying to give nothing away, but Isaac is not 190 this year. Yeah, so Isaac is down some weight classes.
Ooh.
Yeah, which is going to make things even tougher for people trying to wrestle him because he last year was wrestling at 190 and then was walking around at like 82.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
And so what happened was he did really well in the postseason. I'm happy to say that I was a part of that. And he got to wrestle at Fargo, which is Freestyle Nationals, right? And so because he was wrestling at Fargo, he was touching kids that are really 190 pounds because these are all the top of the state for the nation.
Yeah.
And so these kids are 190 pounds, which means that actually they're like 205, 210, right? And so he was like, oh, no, this is not going to work out.
Yeah.
So he was like, all right, I'm going to cut some weight. I'm actually going to get down to a competitive weight class. And he did. So he's going to preseason nationals. He left yesterday. So we'll see how he does at preseason nationals.
Ooh, we got a guy going to nationals.
Oh, yeah. Well, I got a girl going to nationals, too.
Oh, you do?
Maddie Rich is going to nationals. She's not on Georgetown's team, but she's on my club team from Glenn. And so, yeah, she's going to preseason nationals, too, 132. I expect some good things out of her. So,
well done, Coach. Well done.
You know. So anyway, long story short, because he's going down in weight class, it should be a real different experience. So he's going to be touching kids that he's like, oh, not only am I faster than you, I'm substantially stronger than you.
Yeah.
Get over here.
Coach, I was going to ask the other 2 co-hosts. So you started with something, and I'd like to come back to that. About growing. As a senior, I only weighed 133 pounds. Those who can't see me, I'm 5'6", and that's rounding up. And I was just kind of curious. Some people change. I don't remember a lot of changes through high school. So I was going to say, Travis, you were a baseball player. The freshman Travis and the senior Travis, how big of a difference was that? And I'm going to come back to that because Coach, where I want to go with all this is you were talking weight classes. Yeah. And I thought I heard something like once you lock in a weight class at the end of the season, you're kind of stuck there. You can't lose so much weight. So I want to come back to that. But I'd like Corey and Travis to kind of weigh in on what were you guys freshman and senior year, and how much does that body change?
Yeah, I think I entered high school at about 130 pounds. I think I graduated at 165.
Oh.
My main sport was golf. I mean that's where if I was going to make regionals or state in something to help the school, it was going to be in golf, and I didn't. I've ended up getting to regionals twice, but never could make it through to state. Right. But I played everything. I played football, basketball. Couldn't play baseball actually because you can't play baseball and golf at the same time.
Yep, same time, same season.
I did not know that. Yeah. That's a rule.
Same season.
Well, you just
physically can't. Like if golf tournaments are on Monday. And you're gonna miss practice then no matter what. You've got to practice golf every day. Baseball coach is not going to let you skip any practices or cut it short. In fact, that was one of the big issues that I always had at Georgetown. There were a couple players there that I knew pretty well that were baseball and football players, and actually when they began implementing spring football drills, that caused a lot of tension in Texas at the top level.
Don't get me started.
Because football and baseball coaches now battle for those players, and I know there were there have been kids at multiple schools who've wanted to play baseball in the spring. That meant they missed spring drills in football, and the coaches benched them the next year in football.
Oh man. Okay. So
We're not that bad.
I was curious because I wrestled and ran track, indoor track, back where I'm from because it's cold, and I was allowed to do that. I did them both, and the coach. But I see that the coaches got along.
Right.
My wrestling coach said, when you're not at practice with us, I know that you're getting good conditioning with the track team, and the track coach said, I know they're smoking the dog snot out of you in wrestling practice. And then I did perform. I made to regionals. I missed state, but I had those opportunities.
Right.
But so I see they got to get along.
Yeah, but you're a different athlete. Like sometimes, and I get your point about with coaches. Like, trust me, I do. Luckily, we don't have a coaches benching dudes, but sometimes it's the individual athlete. Like, if I know that you are working your butt off constantly, you come in my room and you go 120% of the time, then I'm not. Yes, I know the math is off, people.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a totally different experience. And if you come in my room and you slack, and then I'm like, "What's wrong with you?" Oh, well, I had to paint pumpkins with the basketball team this morning, so I missed. Come on.
Yeah, no, I did that. I actually was even training in Kung Fu at the time.
Yeah.
And teaching.
Different.
That was, yeah.
Different.
So you're right.
Yeah.
That's a good read. What say you, Mr. Mose? What did that body change look like in high school?
The same, bro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Even to this day.
You could have been this kid Alexander. So he was 126, and coach says he's coming back at 138.
Yeah.
He's a senior.
Yeah.
So whatever he's gonna stay at.
My weight really didn't fluctuate just because I ran so much, because I was running all year. Because I did cross country.
Yeah.
And then after cross country season, you go into track.
Yeah.
And
Cross
then you
country
go
kids
into,
don't grow.
Then you go into summer track. And so, like, I 360, running, and then you factor in football into that as well.
Yeah.
And so, like, I just never had the time to just put on weight for like a summer because I was always running.
I didn't know you played football. Coach, we're gonna get to you. What position did you play in football?
Slot receiver.
I did not know that. I thought you were just a track guy.
Yeah, I played slot.
Yeah.
But then it got to the point where you're playing both sports, and for a school like Pearland out in Houston, it's a 6A school. We went to the state championships my senior year, so it's a very great program. And so for a dude like me who's trying to split time between two different sports, you ain't doing that. Like, you got to be full time for one sport or the other. And so I realized that my junior year, so I just picked track because that was my better sport. And so I was like, I got to focus on one of these to get a scholarship, because if I try to do both, I'm not going to be able to play or perform at the level I want to perform at, because I'm splitting time in two different sports. So that's why I was going to make the point when you talk about athletes doing different sports. Sometimes it's just like the programs are so good, and the other athletes in the programs are so good as well. It's like my best shot to play will be to focus on one.
Well, and we were not a state wrestling team or even regional. And then same thing for track. No one really knew my school. So, yeah, I guess I was in a perfect situation. So now I feel bad for kids who are multi-sport.
Isaac Zapata on my team, he's a perfect example of that. He played football his freshman year, and then he looked at him like, I'm not going to do, like,
the depth, you look at the depth chart, right?
Yeah.
That's what you do. You look at the depth chart and you go, yeah, I don't see a path here.
Wow.
But
And now he's ranked at a higher weight class. You know what I mean? It's his senior year. So I would argue he made the right choice.
Yeah.
You know?
And I will say, every time I go out to these football games, like 2A, 3A schools, I get so jealous. These kids that's like playing quarterback. He's also like the starting point guard on the basketball team.
I played three. See, I grew up in a 3A high school.
Yeah. You can do everything.
So I was a 5'11", 165-pound defensive end.
Yeah. Okay, I see that.
I was our third defensive end. I played both sides. I could swing either way. The two defensive ends in front of me went for Tubbs.
Whoa.
Played here at Texas. Played in the NFL.
Yeah.
He was 6'4", 225 back then. The other defensive end played at Sam Houston. He was 6'4", 210. So I ended up playing on a loaded team.
Yeah.
And my coach has always told me, he goes, I wish you had one more year of eligibility. You could actually get on the field. But but yeah, then I just switched over to football season ends. We actually get knocked out of the playoffs. South Lake Carroll actually won state at 3A. That tells you how things have changed at South Lake. Wow. South Lake Carroll was a 3A high school.
3A high school?
Yeah. was a 3A high school when my senior year. But we get knocked out of the playoffs in the quarterfinals, and the next weekend we had a basketball tournament.
Yeah. Next sport, ready to go.
Yep.
And you're starting on varsity. You know,
Yeah.
that's the thing that I kind of envy with these kids, because they have the opportunities to see what exactly they're great at. You know, I feel like that allows them to, you know, I'm going to do basketball, I'm going to do baseball, I'm going to do football, and I can play at the varsity level just to see, can I really perform at a high level?
Yeah, but see, that's where Texas culture being a little toxic about football becomes a problem. Because what you have is the kids are, I'm looking at you and I'm like, look, you are going to start on my team and you are going to do well. But because everybody says that football is it in the state of Texas, you find the need to get drugged to playing football, and you're fourth string.
Well, so and just look at the school systems, right? And of course, Georgetown's a little different now that they do have 2 high schools. Maybe it's normalizing some. You look at Round Rock, where they got 6 high schools. You have not only your district superintendent, but you have a not superintendent, athletic director, but you also have a campus athletic director. That campus athletic director,
always the football coach.
Exactly.
Period, point blank, end of story.
He's scheduling everything. You know, my daughter played high school soccer. We've had this discussion several times. When he changed the schedule so that freshman football was first period, it conflicted directly with the girls' soccer program. And he actually told, at the time, he told the soccer coach that, you guys are going to have to use the grass field to practice because we need the turf stadium for practice.
This is at Georgetown.
And this is at Round Rock. No, this is at Round Rock. This is Round Rock High. This is Round Rock High. And, of course, Round Rock girls program is consistently ranked in the top 8 in the state year after year after year. And Round Rock's football team did upset Lake Travis, 3 years ago or whatever, but they're a decent program.
They'll make the playoffs.
But when you're battling for turf time for your girls soccer team versus your freshman football team, the girls soccer team better win out. And thank goodness the principal was had a $2 that came through the program, so he helped with that. But those are the politics that go on, especially at the higher classifications.
Yeah, and I won't even talk about just the coaches, but it's the culture. It's the culture.
It's the culture. Yeah.
If you're not playing football, you're not. You ain't tough. But I consistently dog the crap out of your football players inside of 30 minutes of their first practice. So really, who's the tough one here is my question, and it always will be.
And that's what I feel like regionally is interesting to me, because if we're talking about Indiana, basketball is it, you know, and so like if you're not on a basketball team, then it's like, okay, are you really an athlete, you know? But down here it's football. So I honestly, I've been more intrigued with lacrosse and field hockey. You know, that's a big
Indiana has some great wrestlers though. That's the other thing. Like we're just not. Whatever. I'm being a dead horse, but you get my point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But how much do you think the sport of UFC has been kind of growing so much on a global scale? Is now does it trickle down into the high school levels, do you feel like?
A little bit, but see, I also coach jiu-jitsu, so I see UFC, the first guy to ever win UFC is Gracie, and so I see a lot of those kids coming to my jiu-jitsu program, and I'm like, hey, I want to tell y'all something. Everybody is, and I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu too, so everybody in jiu-jitsu is a black belt, so that's great, right? But look at the champs. All right, of 10 weight classes, 8 of them are wrestlers. You know what I mean? Because wrestlers get to decide where the fight happens. You can outstrike me. Guess what? We going to this mat, baby.
We going to the ground,
right? And you great on the mat. How you gonna get me there?
Right.
I'm gonna shove your head through this floor every time you try and touch me.
Yeah.
So that's the be all and end all of it for me in the way I look at it for wrestling. But when it comes to the UFC, it has paid us some dividends. I don't think it's paid us enough dividends.
Yeah.
That's all. And like you said about the coordinators, that's the issue we have. Now, do I expect the athletic coordinator, who is the football coach, to really prioritize my program? No, I don't. Right? It would be dumb of him too, because you best believe if I was the athletic coordinator, guess who wouldn't be getting no penalty? You know what I mean? So I'm selfish as all. Well, I'll tell you that for the truth. That's just the way. I expect you to be that way to a certain extent, but you have to really look at these kids and be. And now I say that with the understanding that I've had the football coach also tell me, he's going to be a better wrestler, so we're trying to encourage him to wrestle. And I've actually had that with one of my athletes who's like iffy about the sport, so that can happen too. That can happen too.
And I'm sure with success, that should give, some pushback and, allowing you to do more things when they see that this program is on the state championship level.
Yes.
And especially if the other programs aren't on the state championship level. What are we talking about?
Well, in a perfect world, I mean, look, the same way. And Corey, I know you went through this. You were a runner anyway, so you didn't have to be told to do it. But the football coach is always going to tell his skill players, "You're running track. Mm-hmm. You're running. You are running track. Yep. That is all there is to it. I would think that it would naturally fall if you have a program and a coach you believe in, that you should be telling your linemen and your linebackers, you should be wrestling. You should be going over working with that wrestling coach because it's going to help you, especially on the defense, like you mentioned earlier, on the defensive side of the ball, especially.
Yeah, and so my hope is that happens. The only problem I have with that sometimes is the fact that we don't push it. So yes, they tell them, "Oh, you should," but the question becomes, "Will you?"
That's a great point, though. I mean, because you have the skill position guys. Yeah, you're right. They're definitely running track. I used to love seeing the basketball dudes during cross country season.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness, them dudes.
You're making fun of them?
Yeah,
you're making fun of the basketball.
Yeah, I'm making fun of the basketball.
6'8".
Yes.
Okay. You must have been fast.
See them run 2 miles, man.
Yeah.
Cross country meet, when they try to come to the close and finish, they are dead, man.
Now,
they walking.
I used to work at a university, and on that basketball team, I know this is university, but at that basketball team, to make the team, he was an old school coach, you had to run 6-minute miles, or you didn't even step on the court. One of my fraternity brothers was an amazing player. He didn't make the team because he was too slow.
Yes, but what you do, because we all went through this on the football program, you had to run your preseason mile as well. You train for 1 mile.
Yeah.
That is all. I was not running a step further than that 1 mile.
Yeah. Okay, I see that. What distance was good for me? I was an 800 guy. What were your track event? And I did cross country.
800 mile, 2 mile.
Kindred souls here. But
that's why y'all didn't grow, by the way.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Too much running, too much pounding.
Yep, that's why y'all didn't grow.
So, Coach, I wanna just see if there was anything else that you wanted to mention. The outlook for the season. I'm curious. I have never gone to a Georgetown wrestling.
Yes.
I promise you, Coach, I'm going. If that means my daughter's got to go to softball practice, or if she's got to go to her wrestling practice with her coach, and don't worry, I punk her coach. So her wrestling coach, I'll be like, "Hey man, we're going to Georgetown wrestling, and don't worry about that. I got that one covered."
Yeah, I know. You said you punk her wrestling coach. I'm a wrestling coach, so I'm gonna have to ask you to restate that statement. I'm gonna have to ask you to fix that because that's hella off.
So what I was saying, Coach, is it's hot in here.
Yeah. No. So here's the deal. November 9th, we have our first meet. It's against Salado. So quick background on Salado. The guy who's a new Salado wrestling coach also happens to be the godfather of my eldest daughter. Yes. Yeah. So to say he was also one of my first MMA coaches. So his name is Chris Perkins. If Chris is listening, I'm coming to get you. But if I don't,
man,
because the truth of the matter is, even if I beat him, he's still gonna talk crap. Like it's just.
Oh, he's one of those guys.
Oh my God! Like I'm never gonna hear the end of it. We were both artillerymen in the Army. I've known this dude for a minute.
Wow.
Yeah, he wrestled at OU. You know what I mean? So he has a good wrestling pedigree.
Wow.
And so like I will not hear the end of it. If you go in there.
Were y'all the same weight class?
No, he's older than me. He's older than me by a lot, and he was small. He was 125.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was 125er. So, it's funny because his name on everything is Big Daddy Perkins.
Come on.
Yeah. I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious. He wrestled 125.
I like
Big Daddy.
But he's the kind of dude. Like, to tell you a quick story about Perkins is real interesting. He placed second his senior year at States. He placed first his junior year. He keeps his second place trophy with him because his second place trophy was because he had a girlfriend his senior year and he got distracted. And he knew he could beat that guy, but he didn't train hard enough. So that second place trophy is the one he keeps in his office to remind him distractions.
And I'm
come back
guessing
and bite you in the
he
butt.
didn't marry that girlfriend, did he?
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah.
No. And if Raquel, who was there at my first daughter's birth, were to hear you mention that first girlfriend, she might gouge your eyes. So let's stop talking. About
I just want to end because I don't want to sell. I don't want to sell the ladies short. I want to end with one little game, Travis. If you'll allow me to challenge you here on your knowledge of Texas.
Okay.
I'm going to name some schools, and you just stop me with one you know about. Azle.
Hazel, yeah.
AZLE. That's
It's up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Okay, that's the number 1 5A female. She's 152. Lubbock Cooper.
Oh, yeah.
You're now that one was easy because it's Lubbock, Texas. I'm gonna assume.
Cooper, Monterey, Lubbock High.
Yeah.
Coronado. Yeah.
See, he doesn't disappoint.
No. Good teams.
Comal Piper.
Come out. So that's out of the so New Braunfels School District is actually Comal New Braunfels.
Yes.
Comal ISD.
Yes.
And so that's the newest high school that they have, right?
I think so. So Kamal, anything that's Kamal is a good program.
Oh,
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Kamal has a good program. They have a club down there, NB Elite. Honestly, I want to beat them. I just don't have enough kids that go to events. They have more kids than I do. So nothing against their coach. Their coach is a bit of a knucklehead. He's older than me, so he's always talking crap. Oh God,
I like that.
Anyway,
Borger. Do you know that one, Travis? Borger.
It's out in West Texas.
This guy. Okay, I already know you know Dumas. There's another girl ranked from Zima, and I'm going from down. So this Dumas and Azle girl, Elena Morgan at Dumas and Mariah Dillard at Azle, they're both ranked number 5. But one's 138, one's 120. Okay, we talked about Lower Cook, and then lastly, Northwest. That's all it is.
Northwest ISDs, and that's the.
You knew it.
That's wait a minute. That's Justin.
it is Justin.
That's Justin School District, which is where Texas Motor Speedway is up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
This guy's got
Justin's where we went to. Remember we had the Midsummer Mat Bash.
Yeah.
And we did that camp up in Justin.
That's where
with the Army coach.
Not to be confused with Northeast ISD, which is in the San Antonio School District.
Okay. See, I didn't even. That's a flex because when I saw Northwest,
gave you
I was
an
like,
extra
"Where
one.
is that?" And he knows where the Northeast is.
He just throwing an extra one.
That was awesome. So, Coach, thanks for coming in. This was awesome. I mean, wrestling is. I believe it is a martial art. It's a free martial art that you could take. That's the way I saw it when I did it, because I was doing kung fu and I was like, what about my ground game? What about takedowns? And so it's free. They're teaching you in school, so that's what brought me to it, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I wish I would have learned about wrestling sooner in my life, and I didn't.
And that's what I encourage. Again, we talked about girls wrestling a bit, but I encourage the girls especially because, we're out here trying to empower women to be all. I don't want to steal an Army trope, but to be all they can be, and to be able to stand on their own 2 feet. And I don't. And that's not to say that other sports don't do that, but I know for a fact if you walk around, because I see it, if you walk around and I'll just throw that boy across his daggone hallway when he starts mouthing off. It changes the way you interact with kids. Right. They can mouth off to you and you're like, just get on my way, man. I'm not worried about your punk behind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it changes the way, so that changes the way that they hear those kinds of things. It changes the way they accept and don't accept the bullying. It changes a lot about them. And it gets down to that inner makeup of your psyche. Exactly. Yeah. And I'm all about trying to make that a real thing. Especially, I'm a girl dad, for my girls, you know what I mean?
In that time of life, I have 3 older sisters, and so I was able to watch, during those high school days of they're going through so much when it comes to identity.
God, it's rough.
And so being able to have that type of foundation is so important, and so I'm glad to hear that a sport can be able to help out that foundation.
It's rough, and a lot of people also look at it problematically because of weight. Because in wrestling we compete in weight classes, right? But as a dude who cut weight the wrong way, my thing, particularly for all my girls, is you're not defined by that number. That number is where you're at, so I can make it so that you can wrestle. That's it. That's all it is. And I need you to understand how we're going to get to whatever number you should be at the healthy way. So we're going to eat to power the machine. And then we're going to go out and run the machine, right? You wouldn't put 87 in a performance vehicle. You're going to treat yourself like a performance vehicle. And so that's all we do when we're talking about weight. Now, you got to it a little bit. I don't lock you into a weight per se. I lock you into a program. So at the beginning of the school year, we do a caliper check, we do a weight check, and we do a urinalysis to check your hydration level. And that tells you how far down you can go, and that tells you what your bottom weight class is. And then as we progress down there, you can only lose 1.5% of your body weight per week. That's the rule. And so now I'm checking your weight because I don't want to see things like you were 172 today and then tomorrow you're 165.
Yeah, that's a red flag.
You know what I mean? That's a red flag. You're doing something wrong and we need to fix that. So that's what I do. That's what I do.
Man, that's awesome. I love that. I love that for sure because, like I said, that's so important for those pivotal years of figuring out who you are as a woman for those athletes. And so to be able to have someone that they can trust, to know that you want the best for them, I think that's awesome.
Is that one of the biggest challenges for you as a coach?
God, yes.
Is figuring out the correct weight for their lifestyle, their body style, their age, and what they possibly could look like over the years?
Yeah, because if you have a girl who, so the minimum body fat percentage by a caliper test is 12% for a female, right? But if you have for a female, 7% for a male. But if you have a girl who comes in and she has a higher body fat percentage, you're not going to get her down to 12 in a season.
Right.
You know what I mean? And she shouldn't be trying that.
Right.
So I've got to look at you and say, okay, you came in here at 172. You can get to, that weight class is 185, right? You could probably get to 65 healthily. Okay. You know what I mean? By the end of the year. Maybe because the next weight class is 154, you probably can't get there. So, I just have to look at that and say, hey, baby, that's out of reach for you. Let's try it next year. You know what I mean? You get down to 165 this year, you hold it for a little while, right? Compete there, see what it feels like, and then maybe we can go down next year. But it's important that you have that communication with the athletes, that you're honest with them, because that's how you build trust as a coach, honesty. And then you tell them, hey, I'm doing this because of you. And then when they get upset because they're like, well, I'm too big or whatever, you say, hey, no, you're perfect the way God made you. I'm trying to get you to where I think you would perform the best, right? And so we're just going to make the changes for your performance, and then we'll see what happens with the numbers. We don't care.
Are you as much a nutritionist as you are a coach to some kids?
Yes, and I have to read a lot. Coaching is the profession that never ends its education. Because what we used to believe about carbo loading 10 years ago has been thrown out the window. And so that's what I could find myself doing, is constantly trying to stay abreast of what the science says about nutrition. And to be frank, it's a little bit different, particularly because I even have to talk to girls, unfortunately, about, hey, what is your pre-cycle weight versus your during cycle weight versus your post-cycle weight? Because I don't want you working so hard that you miss cycles during the season.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and that weight's going to change. So we have to pick a weight class that you can get to on your cycle, off your cycle. Like those are all things we have to, we just have to be honest about, and it's important that as a coach, I'm a dude, and that's a hard subject to broach at times, but we still got to talk about it, because I don't want you doing something negative to your body permanently for a tournament that just happens to fall on the wrong time of the month. That's stupid.
Oh my goodness. There's so many factors don't even think about.
So many. So I spend my time looking at weight charts, thinking about the kids. You know what I mean? I spend my time. Then I'm also trying to think, okay, this is one that gets me all the time. What do girls or boys at that weight class primarily do? What are the techniques that are normally for that weight class and those kids? And how do I teach them how to do those techniques, and how do I teach them how to stop those techniques? Because it's different for a heavyweight than it is for a kid who's 125. Those are an entirely different set of techniques, right? It might be different for your body type, because if you're 135 pounds and your height, you can reach kids who's 125, reach things on a kid who's 125 pounds and is 5'2" would never have the opportunity to reach, right? So I have to teach you to your body type, right? So that means I have to know both and not just coach the way I wrestle,
right?
And so that's, I'm constantly, and oh, by the way, I got to make sure you have the correct conditioning. You know what I mean? And so luckily, my coach, we were just talking about this, Travis Kinchlow, who's the other coach on Georgetown's team, he's always worried about conditioning, right? So he's constantly feeding me conditioning stuff, right, into the practice schedule. I'm constantly worried about technique, so I'm constantly like, I got to take 6 minutes and do this. I got to take 4 minutes to do this, And so it's not a battle we have, it's just a discussion we have every Monday when we're planning out our lessons. Like, okay, well, how much time are we going to spend on conditioning? How much time are we going to spend on technique? And then I'm going to look at the weights and be like, all right, well, who can go where?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then you got to worry about them passing the classes.
Oh, Lord. So now what I've started to do is funny you mentioned that. So now what I started to do is when our first period, if you have first period off, and a lot of kids don't, but I try to run a study session for them. Because not for nothing, I went to an engineering school, so I have an engineering minor, but I majored in philosophy, right? So I have a disparate background of stuff, and I always love to learn. So I'm willing to learn anything if I think it'll help out one of my kids, right? So I'm proud to say this. I have a kid. I'm not going to name her. But she was failing a couple classes last year, right? Her lowest grade right now is a 77. And so, you know, she's that close to being on honor roll.
Yeah.
And so, you know, now she did the work.
Right.
I didn't do that work. I didn't take a single one of her tests.
Yeah.
Right. But just trying to take the opportunity to do a little bit more studying and having a one-on-one approach, or sometimes a one-on-three approach, just gets them to another level. Right. And so that's my job, because my legacy is in those kids. It's not in anything else. I'm gonna be dead and gone pretty soon. You know what I mean? Hopefully they think of me the way I think about some of my coaches and some of the people that affected me positively.
Well, Coach, we certainly do appreciate you coming in.
Thank you for having me.
I know you've got things you need to get to, but we do appreciate it, and we would invite you to hang around. You can talk a little World Series with us. You can talk a little Cowboys and Longhorns and all sorts of stuff.
And you have your next interview is actually with one of my students.
Oh, there we go. Okay,
Yep.
so
Your next interview with one of my students. So
That's
all right.
exciting. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
we
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
it. Thank
have a
you.
good one.
Thank you. But